Whenever I'm in Delhi, the first thing I do is go to my favorite Matar Kulcha wala and of course hog it literally so. On that note, I'm going to dedicate the same recipe to the daredevils of Delhi. Hey guys, this is Varun Inamdar and welcome to Indian Culinary League. Let's first begin with making our own kulchas. For this, I already have the kulcha dough here. It's a nice and soft dough which is made of refined flour, little bit of yogurt, some oil, yeast, salt and sugar. You see it's a nice and soft dough. I kneaded this and I've kept this aside for an hour so that it kind of proves a little. Let's take lemon-sized balls of the dough. I'm just going to cut them into small pieces and with the help of little flour, I'm going to separate them like so. It'll be a little difficult because the dough is extremely pliable and soft. Well, for the detailed measurements of this dough, please check the description box below. Let's keep this aside. Let's move on to heating a tawa or a griddle pan. The next step is to shape the kulchas. I'm going to dab a little bit of oil on the working table. I'm also going to apply a little oil on top of the kulcha dough so that it doesn't dry off. We need to roll it once again and we need to tap it like so. With the help of a rolling pin, I'm going to pull either sides like so and shape them into long Delhi style kulchas. Once the pan heats up, I'm going to transfer this onto the hot pan. And we need to cook this on either sides, flipping once, ensuring it doesn't get too much color. Similarly, let's start making the other kulchas. If you're doing this for the first time, you may have to keep your eye on both the steps at the same time because this is critical as much as the cooking is. This is the step after flipping a few times that you need to remove and keep this in a plate. If you wish to make excess, that's the step where you need to stop. Traditionally, these kulchas are made in a bhatti, but of course we in our homes do not have the luxury of having a bhatti. So this is the next most obvious step. Well, these can also be made in an oven. All you need to do is heat the pan or the baking dish 200 degrees for around 10 minutes, make it nice and scorching hot, place the kulchas and bake them for 2 to 3 minutes. Keep them semi-undone, keep them almost 80% done, and that's where you start stacking them. Next, when you have guests in the house, bring 1 or 2 out of those, heat them again, make them nice and crisp if you wish, and there you have Delhi style kulchas. Our kulchas are ready. Let's now move on to matar. For this, I've used dried white peas, which is also known as matar. I've washed it nicely, I've soaked it overnight, and I've boiled it till it's become nice and mushy. Let's keep this aside. Do not add in salt, turmeric or anything for that matter. Keep it nice, plain and simple. Let's next move on to cutting a few vegetables. For this, I've taken a red onion. This is a dish which is typically from the streets of Delhi. It's rustic, it's simple and it's wholesome, and that's exactly the treatment that we're going to give it. Next, let's cut some white radish. I'm going to cut them into thin, long strips and then into juliennes. Some green chilies. You can adjust this according to your spice and your taste. Do not cut this very fine because you do not want surprises in your mouth. Let's keep this nice and chunky so that if you wish to remove, you can also do that. The next is cutting the lime or lemon into some wedges. And finally, some tomatoes. I'm going to just give it a cut in the center and then give it a cut like so. The next and the last step is of course assembling the matar kulcha. For that, I'm going to take some oil. Well, you can also use butter, and there are a lot of vendors in Delhi who use butter. Just taking a little bit of oil and I'm placing our kulchas back in the pan. Well, now you can choose to make them nice and crisp, or you can just kind of heat them with a little bit of oil, and that's a personal choice. While that's happening, let's start making our matar on the spot. So for this, I'm going to take some prepared or cooked matar. Well, for this, you can choose to use 2 to 3 large spoons of the boiled matar. The next step is adding in amchur ka pani or raw mango water. For this, the raw mango is dried in sun and then you soak it in water. Next, let's add in some spices. The first one is yellow chili powder, followed up with chaat masala, chopped coriander, a touch of salt, because remember the fact that there's no salt in the matar while cooking. And this is topped up with some onions, slices of tomatoes, some green chilies, some radish, and juice of some lime. Mix this up. Well, while mixing this, do not forget the fact that our kulchas are getting nice and crisp. Let's give them a flip and continue mixing. Well, a lot of vendors also make this in bulk, which is good to serve 20 to 25 people at a go. I see these days a lot of tawas as well in Delhi, where they heat it, they cook it on the spot, they kind of add a little oil, add in a more spice, add a little more of the masalas and make Matar Kulcha a little differently. But this is something that I have learned from my most favorite kulcha and matarwala in Delhi. So with this, your Matar Kulcha is ready. Let's finally top it up with some more tomatoes, radish, onions, and chilies. Let's serve this with our kulchas, and you can also serve this with some nice whole chili pickle. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed watching this simple, rustic Delhi street style Matar Kulcha, and do not forget to stay tuned to Indian Culinary League.